Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Winnick here, back again with a brand new video today. So I've never actually done a movie review for a DC movie before. However, Blue Beetle was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It was one I was really looking forward to, and I really enjoyed watching the movie this past weekend. And so I decided that if I really enjoyed the movie that much, I'm going to go ahead and do a video recommending it. And because this review is really going to be more of a recommendation than anything else, it's not really going to be structured the same way as a lot of my other reviews are. So I'm just going to tell you the reasons why I really enjoyed this movie and why I feel like you should go see it if you haven't already. So Blue Beetle was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I actually did a reaction video to the trailer that came out about 3 or 4 months ago. And I think I said in that trailer reaction how this was a movie I was really looking forward to. I first discovered Blue Beetle whenever I was a kid, when I used to watch Young Justice every now and again as a kid, but I never really knew the character that well, but I always found him really cool. And so whenever I heard that they were going to do a live-action Blue Beetle movie starring my dude, Shola Maridueña from Cobra Kai, I was ecstatic, and I thought to myself, this is going to be an awesome movie with an awesome lead actor. And surely enough, it is. Blue Beetle is without a doubt my favorite DC movie since The Batman. I really do mean that. I think this is an excellent, excellent movie, and I want to go into why I really think you should see this movie if you have not already. As I said, Shola Maridueña's casting made me really happy, and he was excellent in the movie. I really like the way that his character was written. The great writing combined with his great acting meshed really well together. I really felt for his character. I found him to be very charismatic as well as sympathetic. I thought Shola really delivered as Jaime Reyes. You really do buy him as this young person of color in America who's really just trying to make his way in the world, who's trying to just, do well at life and just make his way out there, And so I thought Shola did a great job at really making you care for this character. Also, the dynamic with his family in this movie is really great. I mean, you really do feel for this family. I loved all the characters. I thought all the actors brought their A game. They really do feel like a real family, which I think is one of the biggest compliments that I can give to a family that only exists in a movie. You really do buy them as a family. They get along, they fight, and they don't feel fake. It feels completely authentic. This feels like a real family that you would see out and about, and I really cannot compliment the actors enough for making them that believable. The standout performance from the family is George Lopez as the cousin of the uncle. I can't exactly remember, but he was hilarious in the movie. He's the comedic gold of the film. There's so many moments where I was just dying of laughter from how crazy he is, and man, him and Shola work really well together, and him and the other actors. I thought George Lopez did an excellent job, and he's a character that I feel like most people are gonna just love walking out of this movie. Also, Belissa Escobedo, if I said her name incorrectly, I apologize. She was great as the sister in this movie. I really did buy the sibling dynamic between her and Shola Maridueña. I thought they really do feel like real siblings. It felt very authentic, and they make fun of each other, but they still love each other, and it kind of reminds me of me and my sister a little bit. And so you really do buy the sibling dynamic between these two actors, which is a huge compliment. And that's what really works the most well about this movie, is the family dynamic of this film. You really buy them as a family, like I said before, but they are so believable that there's actually a few moments where I actually teared up a little bit in the movie just out of sympathy for these characters. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest compliment that I can give to a fictional family. When you feel for them so much, you actually tear up a little bit for them. And I thought the actors just did a phenomenal job with what they were given. Susan Sarandon is also quite good as the villain. Her villain in this movie is not necessarily the most outstanding villain in the DC universe or anything, but she does a pretty good job in the movie. She's really evil, which is something that I was not really expecting, but on a really interesting villain, I thought Sarandon gave a great performance, and this one other actress whose name I do not know how to pronounce, I'll put on screen somewhere, is great as her daughter. I thought she and Sholo had great chemistry together. I liked seeing the friendship start off with them and then seeing the relationship build up. I thought they worked really well together on camera, and I actually did not know who this actress was prior to this film, but I thought she did a really good job. Now, one of the complaints I've been hearing about with Blue Beetle, which I do kind of understand, is superhero cliches and how the movie's not necessarily the most original in regards to its story structure, and how people feel like this may not necessarily be a huge winner for anybody who's had it with superhero fatigue. I can understand where those people are coming from, but I've just chosen to accept those cliches because if those cliches really help the movie play towards its strengths, I don't see why they shouldn't use those cliches. So even though the superhero cliches are things that we've seen before, it actually did feel like a nice mix of stuff we've seen before to kind of create its own vibe for DC. It feels like a really nice mix between Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, the first Iron Man movie, as well as the first Shazam movie. Just different aspects of Blue Beetle kind of remind me of those three movies, and I think that they come together to make a really, really cool tone that's not really one you see a whole lot in DC. And so even though there are some cliches in this movie, I do feel like those cliches actually help elevate this film's just independence. I feel like this movie actually does stand on its own because of how well it plays on the cliches. I think this film is also going to be one that probably will win people over who kind of have multiverse fatigue, or the movies where everything just kind of has to be epic or have so many cool characters. It's like if you guys miss those superhero movies where there's really just like one really awesome character with a bunch of great side characters that aren't superheroes, I think Blue Beetle is one that's going to win you over. And that's the other thing that I love about this movie that makes it stand out from some of DC's more recent movies, that it doesn't require other superhero characters to really elevate the movie. I have written down Black Adam was a movie that I personally really enjoyed, but it definitely relied a little bit on bringing in multiple characters that already existed to make the movie more entertaining. Shazam 2 also did the same thing, although I do think that movie gets more negative criticism than it actually deserves. And although I did love The Flash, it did really rely on nostalgia to kind of just elevate itself. So I think that Blue Beetle does stand out in the DC universe in the sense that it doesn't rely on other existing superheroes to elevate itself. And that's actually one thing I want to point out, is that there are references to other superheroes in the movie, but you don't like see any cameos or anything, or there's no like super direct links to other people. They're kind of just like casually mentioned, which I personally really like. I know something that might confuse a lot of people is that this is technically the first movie in James Gunn's new DC universe. And if you're wondering, like, if this is going to be a super confusing movie in regards to the universe, like, change, it's not. If you guys don't know, James Gunn recently reset the whole DC Extended Universe with The Flash, and Blue Beetle is technically the first movie within this new universe he's got going on. Although, when I say technically in quotations, it's because Superman Legacy is really supposed to be the first movie in that. But that aside, if you're worried about going into this movie expecting it to be super confusing, this movie stands on its own and it doesn't require any like super intricate details about the universe to elevate itself. It's very much its own thing. In fact, it's so vague when referencing other characters that it doesn't set the universe up for disaster, and it doesn't set itself up to be like a victim of just confusion. So yeah, I really like the fact that this movie can stand on its own. It doesn't require you to be excited about this new DC universe to like it, although there is a really cool mid-credit scene and post-credit scene, so I do recommend sticking around to the end. It doesn't really have anything to do with the universe per se, but it really makes me interested to see what they're going to do with the future of DC. Of course, a huge talking point for this movie that was really important to me was the Latina, Hispanic representation in the film. And although I'm not part of that community necessarily, I am from a border town, and the town I live in is predominantly Latina, Hispanic, and so this was a huge deal for me, as well as for my friends and the people in this town, and I really enjoyed the representation of the characters in this movie. I really love the way that the movie portrays Latinos, and Hispanics in a very positive light, in a way that doesn't stereotype them, in the way that doesn't make them feel singled out or marginalized in any way. It represents them positively, and I think that's one thing that everyone's going to love. One huge risk that they took with this movie that I personally loved is that they played a lot of music that was done in the Spanish language, which is probably going to be a huge risk among American audiences who don't know this music or people who don't speak English. But if you're a Spanish speaker, you're probably going to love hearing the music in this movie, as a lot of people in my theater, I saw it with a packed theater of people who loved it, and they loved hearing all the music. They were really excited. And so I feel like a lot of you guys are really going to appreciate seeing that side of the culture represented in this movie. Like I said, I saw it with a theater packed full of people who just loved the movie. I really feel like a lot of them felt seen in this movie, and that's something that I was really happy to see. I was really happy to see that the people around me, the people in this town, just love the movie and love seeing themselves being represented in it. I even talked to my mom's boyfriend about the movie after we saw it, because he's Hispanic, and he loved the representation. He said that it even reminded him of his childhood and his family, and he loved hearing all the music, and he just loved the way that his culture was being represented, and so that really made me really happy. It made me so happy to see the people around me feel represented in a very positive way in a superhero movie. And it was DC who did it. DC beat Marvel to it. And that's not a jab at Marvel, as you guys know I love Marvel. But, man, we finally got a superhero movie starring Hispanic, Latina actors. And, man, I thought they did an excellent job. I'm so happy of this achievement. I can't believe we finally have one of them, and it made me really happy. And that representation, combined with how well made the movie actually is my personal opinion, the reason why you should go see Blue Beetle if you have not already. I think it's going to make a lot of people really happy, even people who are not part of the Latino, Hispanic community. I think they're going to love it for what it is. I think that the people who are going to be represented in it are going to love the representation. It's a movie that I think you guys should go see. It's a really important movie, but it's also really well done. Definitely my favorite DC movie since The Batman. And it's one that I just really want you guys to go see. Please go support Blue Beetle. It's really important, but it's also really well done. Man, I was just really happy with how well made the movie was. And actually, unlike my other movie reviews, I'm actually not going to give this movie a rating or a grade because I actually am not sure what rating or grade I would give it, as I've only seen the movie one time, and I was just enjoying it so much I didn't really take a moment to really see if I could find any flaws. I was just really enjoying it. You could be that person who complains about the fact that it plays on cliches, and you could be that person who complains about, oh, it's not necessarily the most original superhero movie. You could also be an optimist like me and be like, well, if you don't like the multiverse stuff, you're probably going to like this, and it does stand on its own, and it doesn't suffer from other things that recent superhero movies have suffered from. But I also feel like you could choose to be that person who might complain about things like, okay, like, maybe I don't love that it's not the most original thing, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to complain about small little things that inconvenience the movie, especially considering that it didn't inconvenience it to me. So I'm just going to tell you that I love this movie, that I really think that you should go watch it if you have not seen it. You know, DC's movies have not been doing that well at the box office recently. I'm hoping that this one will break the curse. Please, please, please go see Blue Beetle if you have not seen it. It's really well done. I highly recommend checking it out. I think most of you are going to love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this different kind of movie review for this movie. This was just a movie that I really love, and I hope you guys go see Blue Beetle. If you guys do see the movie, please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. I really want to know what your guys' opinion on it is. Thank you guys so much as always for watching the video. If you want to support me, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified about my latest videos. Make sure that you hit the like button and go click the link in the description to go follow me on Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok, and Twitter as I post content over there. And I'm sorry about the lack of videos recently, but I got a lot of stuff coming real soon that I'm really excited about, so be on the lookout for all of that. Thank you guys so much as always for watching, and a Yasmin it. Peace.